So yeah, I'll get started. We'll see if anyone else comes in, but so we'll go through rent, interest, and profit. Next week, so this will be the last class. I'll give you next week to do the exam. So it'll be open the whole day, but yeah, no lecture next week. So we'll just go through this material today, and then next week we will it'll just be the exam. So so economic rent is uh it's used to show what's paid for, like the use of land and natural resources. So like the supply doesn't change. So economic rent is the term showed to show the price that you pay. So if you're paying for a plot of land, like land, they can't make land. So uh, that's the amount of money they make selling land. And so it's perfectly inelastic for land, for example. Uh, so there's like a fixed supply of land. There is no production costs because they cannot make land. So they can set it at any price they want, basically. And it just goes up, basically. Like land costs, like if you're gonna buy a house, if you're gonna buy a plot of land, uh it's pretty expensive these days. Like let's say uh like you could it just goes up in value. Like for like housing, like if you're gonna buy a house in like 1990, you may pay like $100,000. Today you'd pay like 1 million. So it just goes up in price, and there's no limit to it. So this is kind of like the Toronto housing market. It just keeps going up like that. It just doesn't have a limit. It can go up as high as it wants. And we see that all the time. Like housing prices just go up and land prices just keep going up. Uh, so it's perfectly inelastic, and the amount of land will always stay the same. So yeah, not all land is productive. Like there's rainfall, soil quality, etc. And yeah, there's a lot of land is not as high quality as other land. Like there's some land that can't be farmed, some land can be farmed. So some a lot of land is not as productive. The higher price provides an incentive to offer more of the resource, while a lower price allows less of an offering. So so Adam Smith's invisible hands. If if firms and individuals and firms have to look at opportunity costs when deciding to use a particular piece of land, they so they're going to use land for the most part to, like, for the highest profits. Like they're going to use it for the uh based on the invisible hands idea. People are going to use land for the highest profitable way instead of, yes. So like they're gonna just focus on the highest profits. They're just gonna use it for, if it's gonna make more money by selling it, they're gonna sell it instead of let's say farm on it. And then So money is not a resource. So uh like money, the value of money is just determined based on the amount of products we can buy with it. So like if we could uh like if it costs like $1 for a bag of milk, then that's kind of the value of money. Like if money couldn't buy a resource, like if we can't buy anything with money, then money is not worth anything. So the value of money is only based on the products we can get for it. And then so in the news lately with interest rates have been going up. Like it's over the interest rate by the Bank of Canada is over 2% right now, and they've been raising the interest rate because they want to bring down the cost of living. And interest rates are determined by risk, maturity, and loan size. So like if there's a higher risk, you need a higher interest rate. If there's a higher rate of maturity, like if the bond matures far down the road, the interest rate will probably be lower. Um, and then the loan size, if there's a higher loan size compared to the amount of collateral you have, uh, you're probably going to have a higher interest rate. So these are so this is just 2018 information, so it's kind of out of date, but it's similar to what we see right now. Like the 0-year Government of Canada bond here is 2.2%. That's around where we're at right now. The Visa interest rate is about 19.99%. So as the bonds as like if you have a longer term loan, you're going to get a lower interest rate. And the prime rate here is about 3.2%, which is not that much different than now. So the higher the interest rate, the greater the time value of money. And then compound interest is the total interest that accumulates over time of money that is placed in an interest-bearing account. So compound interest is great because if you hold, let's say you hold a stock for 30 years, you're going to make a lot more money because of compound interest. So like if you're making 4% per year on a stock, so let's say you invest like $100 into stock at like a 4% interest rate per year over 30 years. Just gonna calculate that quick. So if you do that, the so if you just hold it and not sell, you can make if you do that, that would so like if you held that for 30 years, it becomes $324 over 30 years. But that's not the best example. It's probably better to like do if you're gonna invest, let's say $100. Let's say you invest like $10,000 per year, right? Over 30 years. And let's say we say a 10% interest rate. Um, so if we're gonna do this, I'll just calculate this quick. So So then that would become so then after that period, it would become 1,644,000 900 for $40. So over time, if you invested that over a 30-year period, $10,000 per year, so $10,000 per year, 10% interest rate, 30 years, that would become 1.64 million per 30-year period. So like it grows a lot over time. Like if you hold it for a long period of time, it becomes a lot more than what you invested in because interest and interest just keeps building. So compound interest can really work for you if you hold, let's say, CN or CP Rail for 30-year period. That would become a lot, like it would become a fortune over time. So yeah, future value is always forward looking. Um, and then what the Bank of Canada now is doing is they're raising the interest rate to bring down inflation. So they've been doing that to because inflation has been so high, it's about 8% right now, that they've been starting to increase the interest rate to bring down inflation. And this is an effective strategy. However, it reduces economic growth. Yeah. So this is a chart. So South Africa in 2015 had a highest interest rate. Iceland was second. Mexico was third. They the benefits of a higher interest rate are that so like higher interest rates can increase your currency value. So you have more imports and it reduces inflation. However, it reduces economic growth. So like it's beneficial because you can bring in more imports. However, it reduces economic growth, but it can reduce inflation. And then also economic profit. Uh, they factor in so for economic profit, it's revenue minus explicit costs and minus implicit costs. So explicit costs are cash costs, and implicit costs are income streams lost through spending your time with something else. For example, you like you may be working as an assistant for like $50,000 a year, 40 hours a week, while you could be spending that time working as a real estate agent, making like $500,000 per year, like 40 hours a week, let's say. So like you're sacrificing like working that $50,000 a year job, you're sacrificing the $500,000 of income you could make being a real estate agent. So that's so the opportunity costs would include the real estate agent salary because you could be making that during this if you just were being a realtor because you could be making $500,000 per year as a realtor instead of spending your time as an assistant. So that's an important thing to think about because a lot of people work like they get paid, let's say $50,000 a year, but they could be making a lot more being a real estate agent. So that's a very important thing. Opportunity costs are so important. It's like opportunity costs are so important. Um, Opportunity costs are so important because you could be making a lot more money spending your time doing something else. So like that's a very important concept. So like you could be a financial advisor with investors group, by financial. Uh, you could be a mortgage agent with mortgage center, let's say. You could be a realtor with Remax or Royal LePage or iPro instead of being an assistant. So that's a very important concept. Opportunity costs are so important to finding out like how much money you can actually make, more than being the system, let's say. So um, so profit ratios of entrepreneurship. Profit allocates scarce resources of entrepreneurs to different economic activities. So economic profits are distributed among individuals who purchase ownership shares. So the owners make most of the money. They make Owners make up almost 100% of the money. So you got to own, like, if you're going to own, let's say, like my investment portfolio, I own BMO, TD, RBC, CN Rail, CP Rail, um, uh, Microsoft. So like almost 100% of these companies' profits go to owners, not employees. So ownership is very beneficial. Being an owner is like 100 times better than being an employee because you take almost 100% of the profits. So being an owner is always better. So yeah, that's so bring up our next thing. I'm gonna It's more of like a review here. I'll bring this up. And I'll play two because I don't have a lot of people here. So which one do you want to do, Caesar? Like which one do you prefer?
I'm on my phone right now, so it doesn't really. I don't even think I can do them really.
Oh, okay, that's okay. That's okay. I'll make it easier. So yeah, I'll probably just do I'll probably just do the next PowerPoint then. That's okay.
Yeah,
Uh
that's fine with me.
sure, sure. That's good. So yeah, income inequality. We've had such an issue with income inequality these days. Um so uh the average income in Canada is one of the highest in the world, 63,000 in 2011. Like it's higher now. It's probably about like I'd say it's over 70,000 today. But there's a lot of income inequality. I think the case. The reason why we have so much income inequality here is because the cost of living is so high in Canada, and also uh, most of the income goes to the richest people. Like almost all of it goes to the richest people. Caesar, what do you think are like your like what do you think are your like base what do you think causes the income inequality here based on your perspective?
Oh, um, in Canada. I think it's a generational factor has a big thing to do with it here in Canada. Like in my life, for example, I can think like my parents don't make a lot of money for their work. They're probably about at that average of $63,000. But at their time when they were young, like my dad was able to buy his first house, put a down payment of $10,000. He sold that house in Brampton and then bought a house here in Newmarket for $200,000. And now 25 years later, this house is worth 1.3 million on the low end. So his generation was able to just acquire wealth by working your typical job, where our generation doesn't really have that option available to us, I guess.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's a great that's a great analysis. Yeah, great work. Yeah, that's extremely true. Like my parents, same thing. Um, yeah, same situation. Like my dad worked. He doesn't work anymore, but he, know, like worked and like he worked like in sales. And like their generation could buy houses just working a normal job. And now, because our generation has changed completely, like we can't buy houses with a normal job anymore. Uh, like it seems like becoming seems like we all kind of have to start our own businesses these days. Just like we need to. That's why I became a mortgage agent because it's just so the whole thing. Like I'm doing that in teaching, so the whole economy it's just changed completely.
Yeah, I find that the previous generations turned like the housing market into an asset instead of housing, like people buying houses to rent them out and stuff, specifically to get secondary income sources would have caused the housing like this housing crisis that we're in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's yeah, exactly. Like it's become a profit center instead of a necessity, which it was more of a necessity like 30 years ago, but now it's like more of a profit center, which is very concerning, Um even rentals are like that. Yeah. Um but yeah, this is uh my website for I just put in the chat. It's my mortgage agent website. So that's um doing that as well as teaching. Like that's my plan to, hopefully get around the generational change. But yeah, like I did that, but there's a lot of other opportunities like you could be a financial advisor, you could be a realtor, mortgage
You could
agent, etc.
you can move to the United States too.
Yeah, exactly. It's um yeah, there's serious inequality here. Um yeah, the so yeah, there's a lot of inequality here. Um the Yeah, the main causes here are ability, education and training, discrimination, preferences and risks, unequal distribution of wealth, market power, luck, connections, and misfortune. What do you think, based on your views, Caesar? What are your like what do you think is the best way to get out of it? Like get out of the rut we're in terms of like the mass inequality and like getting people to act to buy homes that are like what do you think is the solution to our crisis here?
It's hard for me to say because I find the main thing that causes, like in my view, that causes this is that Canada, where we live, is such a high population packed into such a small area.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds stupid, but like making investing in housing like as an asset either illegal or much harder to do
Yeah.
could be a first step, or finding some sort of alternate housing that is more available, that's not say like a 2,000 square foot house or whatever it is, but maybe looking to countries like China that are building like mega apartment complexes where they might not look the prettiest, but they get a job done and serve the community's needs, right?
Yeah, 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 good point. I think I was part of a tiny homes club right before the pandemic, and I think tiny homes are a good idea. I think that there's this company called Bunky Life that there's like a few different companies that make tiny homes, and I think that could be like it's probably not the it's probably not going to solve all the problems, but it'll solve some of them. I think yeah, tiny homes like building affordable structures that can be put on land. That's something that can like because houses are just so expensive. But
Yeah,
finding oh,
on
what are you
the
saying?
sorry, on the extreme end, I've spent some time in like Tokyo, for example,
Yeah,
and that place is it's a different world
yeah,
compared to what we're used to. It's jam packed, and I think one thing that is a norm over there and even in Europe that we don't have here is generational housing.
yeah,
So like one family, the grandparents and everybody sharing one home to allow the younger generation to build wealth that would then just cascade down the future. So they're not wasting their money on things like rent and stuff like that. And even in like cities like Tokyo, which we have more land here than they do in Japan for spacing out, but maybe 20, 30 years down the line, looking at Tokyo, for an example, might be how Toronto ends up, where building, it might not be the most comfortable living, but having a 300 square foot apartment, at least you got somewhere to sleep, right?
yeah, yeah. It's yeah, good point. Yeah, um, yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about Tokyo. Yeah, it's yeah, yeah. I remember my master's supervisor. He tried to like he was just like, yeah, you gotta go to Tokyo.
I'd
Like,
recommend it. It's amazing.
yeah, I hear it's. I've heard so many good things about it. Yeah, yeah, me and my fiance we've talked about it. It'd be a cool place to go. Yeah, it's like I've heard a lot of good things about it. So yeah, the here like Rwanda, Colombia, Brazil, El Salvador, Turkey, Argentina, United States, Iran, Poland, Ukraine. They have the highest like the highest share of income going to the highest 10% of income receivers. So yeah, these are the highest inequality countries in the world. Like United States, about 30% of income goes to the top, highest 10%, which yeah, which is fueling a lot of the crisis. So yeah, greater demand for highly skilled workers, demographic changes, international trade, immigration, and decline in unionism are causing growing inequality. I would say that decline in unionism is a big part of that because uh, not having unions is a big problem because that's leading to workers not getting proper benefits or increases in pay, and all the profits going to the richest people. Like with Elon Musk, like he doesn't want unions for Tesla, which is an issue because like a lot of like he's worth $300 billion, and a lot of the profits are going towards his wealth and not being redistributed to his workers, which is a big issue. And then I would say that even highly skilled workers aren't getting paid well in a lot of cases. Like, I think the whole thing is the economy, like workplaces would pay the least for their workers that they possibly can. You need to, a lot of what is causing inequality is the owners of the workplaces not paying workers enough. So I think in order to individually solve the problem, you gotta start like owning things. Like, I think getting ownership in stocks and trying to get ownership in something, that's a big uh way to solve it. Not in all cases, because not a lot of people can own things, but if people can get home ownership, like if the government can facilitate that where people can own homes or own something, that's a big that'll solve some of the crisis, a lot of the crisis, but not all of it. Yeah, uh, we need we can't have a lot of inequality. We can't have total equality, because the problem is if we have total equality, doctors can make the same as cashiers. Like, you can't have that. You need to have some like di- difference in pay based on the like level of value provided. But we can't have mass inequality. Like, we can't have like Elon Musk making $300 billion while his workers make an average of $50,000 a year. We need we need a balance between inequality and equality. Um, yeah, and poverty. Absolute poverty is when you can't have, like, when you don't have basic needs like food, clothing, shelter. Relative poverty is when uh like your individual's income is low compared to others in society. So I would say we have relative poverty in Canada. So where our income is lower than others in society, like, we're meeting our basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter, most of us, but there's a lot of homeless too. But relative poverty is more of a problem here. But I think we're getting closer to that absolute poverty situation in a lot of cases. Like, um, there are a lot of homeless, like more homeless by the day. And I think that as inflation keeps going up and people are out of work, we're going to get more absolute poverty uh, across like our streets. So about half of the federal government's expenditures were transfer payments in 2016 and 2017. So that's payments to provinces and towns and cities to fund their operations. So 154 billion is devoted to that in that year, and we need to, like, spending that money effectively is a big problem. And that's so like CPP, Canada Pension Plan, Old Age Security, Guaranteed Income Supplement, Employment Insurance. So all these programs, they just don't pay enough to live. People can't live on these, like, unless you're very clever, like unless you're very frugal. Like, even when you're very frugal, like, you can't afford shelter on any of these programs. So even the government can't solve this problem. Um, Yeah, welfare, it should be effective in getting people out of poverty. There should be incentives for able-bodied, non-retired people to work, and the plan's cost should be reasonable. So they don't pay enough for people to have shelter, etc. So two common elements in each of these three plans. So minimum annual income, government will provide if the family has no earned income, benefit reduction rate, the rate at which benefits are reduced or lost as a result of earned income. So we want to keep costs down. We want to have stronger work incentives, and we want to have a higher minimum income. So discrimination. So there's a lot of discrimination, including wage discrimination, employment discrimination, occupational discrimination, human capital discrimination. So um, so discrimination, it causes the output to be lower than what we efficiently want. So discrimination, we don't make as much as we like. Our economy is not going to produce where it should be at. Then statistical discrimination is when people are judged based on the average characteristics to the group that they belong. So, um, so yeah, they do this a lot to. They do this a lot in like job openings, which is very. It's it should not be allowed. And then occupational segregation. So certain groups are put into less desirable occupations. So women are disproportionately in a limited number of occupations, such as teaching, nursing, and clerical jobs. Like they're hired to those jobs instead of other jobs, like let's say construction, military, etc. So yeah, any type of discrimination is bad for our economy, and it's going to lead to less output than required, than like what we efficiently do. So I'm going to do this next exercise. We did this in another class. It's called Spent. So I'm just gonna put this up for everybody. Here it is. So that's what it's called. I'm gonna bring it up on here. A second. Try this. So it's a game that shows. So this game, it shows like how long you can survive on a low income. Um, so we'll start. So if you're in this game, you have three choices of work. So you could either be a warehouse associate at $14 per hour, a waiter at for $2.13 per hour plus tips, or an office temp at $15 per hour. Which job would you select?
Uh, Probably warehouse.
Excellent. Thanks, Caesar. So we'll try this. Continue. The Affordable Care Act requires you to get health insurance. The good news, your child is covered by the state. The bad, you aren't. Which plan do you want? So which one? Gold, silver, bronze?
Bronze probably out of those options.
So we got that here. Then find a place to live. It's $808 total cost per month. So you chose to live farther away from jobs, so we're gonna pay more for transportation. We're at $192 now. So your new apartment is too small for your stuff. What do you want to do?
Sell it.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. That's probably so only made $150 by selling stuff. Your child has been identified as gifted and invited into the school's gifted program. The materials for the course cost $50. What do you want to do?
Apply for a scholarship.
To meet with a counselor in person, which costs you a half day of work and earn you a job strike. You're walking into work when someone approaches you in the parking lot. They want to organize a union and push for better pay. What do you want to do?
If it was me, I'd keep walking.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because they tend to fire people who want to create, which sucks. Yeah. So which groceries would you want to buy in this situation?
Um, Probably noodles, carrots, um, bread.
Egg is cheap too.
Yeah, peanut butter probably.
Oh, which one? Gia, which one?
Egg.
Eggs, okay. Oh, what else, everybody?
What is the one above the tomato there?
Drink
Drink
mix.
mix. Um, Beans maybe. Uh, Toilet paper, I guess.
That's great. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gia. Thank you. So, so each year, almost 15% of American households have a hard time getting enough to eat some food. So, so yeah, they offer you a cigarette to take the edge off because of all the stress. What do you want to do? Light up or say no?
No.
So yeah, and then your child wants to join an after-school sports team, which requires physical and uniform. What do you want to do?
Say yes.
Little exercise goes a long way, both for keeping you healthy and relieving stress. You need to start a regular fitness regimen. What would you do? Join a gym, run with your friend, or put it off?
Probably go running.
Yeah, it's a good call. For some reason, it just doesn't allow me to select this option. It's just, yeah, for some reason. Your college degree isn't helping you right now, but you still have to pay your loans. You could just got a bill of $250. What do you want to do?
Uh, Probably pay it.
Your mom needs a crucial medication, but doesn't have $100. She needs to buy it. What do you want to do?
Give it to her.
You weren't paying attention. You broke something as you were putting it into a box. What do you want to do?
Is this at work?
Um,
Probably gonna hide it.
yeah, good question. I'm not sure. They weren't specific on where. Answer or ignore.
Ignore.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good call. Yeah. Um,
When you're broke, you don't answer your phone.
yeah. I'm calling from the Consumer Collections Corp about the overdue charges for a vehicle in your possession.
Yeah, how did
What
I
do you
know?
want to do?
Hang up.
If you don't make a payment, your car could be repossessed, just like the 1.9 million autos that were repossessed.
Yeah, come get it.
Um, so on the way to drop your kid off at school, something blew in your car. You don't know what's wrong, but it can't be good. Pay to fix it, $300. Ask your friend for help. Get it towed. Leave it and take the bus.
Oh, none of those are good options.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Um, well, you can't afford to pay to fix it, so ask a friend for help, I guess.
Yeah. Um. So this, yeah. Yeah. Just won't. Your company has introduced an option where instead of being paid by the hour, you can be paid by the piece. What do you want to do?
Probably stay with the hourly paycheck.
Your hourly pay is higher than your coworker who opted for the paid piece system, but your supervisor cuts your hours to balance things out. Your future paychecks will be half the size. You made the right choice for that one. Car has been repossessed. Guess you shouldn't have hung up on the creditor since you can't get to boss let you go on a job and no paychecks. So lost your job, you won't get any paychecks, so you'll have to make your money lost. You've been putting off doing laundry for weeks because you don't have a little washer dryer. What do you want to do? I'll be right back with you. So you've been putting off doing laundry for weeks because you don't have a washer dryer. What do you want to do? Go to the laundromat, ask a friend, or wear dirty clothes.
Ask a friend, probably. Yeah, then wear dirty clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, just the wear dirty clothes option is fine. But yeah, this is not like this this game, it's like it's pretty realistic for a lot of people out there. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah, I feel like I'd be pretty good at this.
yeah, it's like expenses pile up. If you're making minimum wage, it just doesn't cover everything. Yeah, a lot of people deal with this daily. Your kid has a friend over. When you hear the telltale sound of an ice cream truck, they both run up to the truck. So what do you want to do? Buy some ice cream or say no?
Yes, keep ice cream. Yes, yes.
You got to get the kids some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier to look for extra ways to make money if you have access to the web. But if you don't have internet at home since you moved, what do you want to do?
Get online at the public library, probably, to start.
For you and millions of other Americans, public library internet access to critical resource. Over 31% of people living below the poverty line visit the public library. Your coat is in tatters. Neighbor notices and stops by to offer you their hand-me-down coat. What do you want to do?
Yeah, why not?
Child's class is going on a field trip to the Natural History Museum. Trip costs $15. What do you want to do?
I'll pay the money.
Bunch of friends are going to a free concert tonight and you want to go, but you've got a kid to worry about. What do you want to do?
Get a babysitter, I guess. It's not bad for a night out.
Your neighbor is moving and has offered you to pay you $50 to help, but they reserve the truck during the time your kid would be starting a school play. What do you want to do?
I'll go see the play.
Family friend sends your child a card inside is $10. What do you want to do? Give your child $10.
Child the $10.
Yeah. Your income level qualifies you for food stamps. What do you want to do?
Apply.
Yeah. It's good news is that you're approved for benefits. Bad news, they don't begin until next month. Child has been invited to a birthday party. They need to bring you a present. What do you want to do?
Buy the present.
Your bathroom sink has a small leak that just became a big leak. Your landlord won't return your calls and can't put it off any longer. What do you want to do?
I guess it depends on how inclined you are, but yeah, try to fix it.
Yeah, try to fix it.
Yeah, good call. So you guys still pay $50 for supplies. You've been experiencing some sharp pains in your chest lately, and your family has a history of heart problems. What do you want to do?
Get it checked out.
Doctor says you're fine, and since you opted in for health insurance, you don't have to pay $58. Two bills are due today. Pay gas bill, pay electric bill, borrow money from a friend, pay them both.
Pay them both, I guess.
Made it through the month with $121, but rent's due tomorrow. So you made it through the month. Yeah, great work, you two. That's great. But yeah, it's the living on minimum wage is yeah, like the expenses pile up like crazy, and it becomes so expensive. And this game shows it shows how people like you can't make it by, right? So I want to do that exercise with like you two, and I did this with the other section last week because like expenses pile up and there's just not enough. Like yeah, it's just everything is so expensive. So we'll go through international trade. It's important so trade is beneficial because what you can do is one country can specialize in something and the other country can specialize in another thing and they both trade. So like let's say one country can specialize in like one country can specialize in making clothing and another can specialize in making high-tech technology and they can trade with each other. And that's more efficient than if one country just made both. Best to specialize in what you're good at. So like one country could specialize in textiles, and then another country could specialize in airplanes, and they trade with each other. So like specialization. So like one country specializes in this. One country specializes in this. The both countries trade. So that's important. You should specialize in what you are good at. So yeah. So one country is said to have an absolute advantage over other producers if product is the most efficient producer of that product. So that's the absolute advantage. Comparative advantage is when they can produce the products at a lower opportunity cost. So so for Canada has an absolute advantage in steel and soybeans. But in this case, it's best if Canada specializes in one thing and Brazil specializes in another, and they both trade. So yeah, that's best. If Canada specializes in steel, so like Canada has the comparative advantage in steel. Brazil has the comparative advantage in soybeans. It is best if Canada produces steel and Brazil produces soybeans and they trade. So like yeah, specialization in this case is key. So like Canada specializes in steel. Brazil specializes in soybeans. Yeah, so that's best to do there. So the good thing about specialization is that that there's complete specialization, more of both goods, and more efficient resource allocation. So this leads to more. This expands economic growth. So economic growth goes out when you specialize in trade. So economic growth increases. Economic growth increases when there is specialization in trade. Yeah. So free trade is important. Free trade is important. So having no tariffs in trade, like no trade barriers. So like no trade barriers is good for economic growth and efficiency. So the exports, when world prices increase relative to domestic prices, domestic exports will increase, and this leads to economic growth. So like more exports increase economic growth. More imports decrease economic growth. Tariffs decrease consumption, increase domestic production, decrease imports, and increase tax revenue. However, tariffs can reduce the output of efficient industries and reduce world trade. So quotas, trade quotas can reduce consumption, increase domestic production, reduce imports, and this doesn't create any government revenue, but it transfers it to foreign producers. The consumer cost, so price of the imported product goes up with tariffs and quotas. Price of domestic goods rise. So the economy loses as on a net result. So the next thing I'll do is just gonna go through. I'm just gonna go through the. Just gonna share. So this is a spreadsheet that So this is a spreadsheet that was that I created last week. I'm just gonna share it with everybody. It's kind of along the lines that the quiz that we were doing before a few minutes ago. Just gonna share this in the chat. So yeah, if you're gonna work the minimum wage of $15 an hour, 40 hours a week at 52 weeks a year working, you make $31,200 per year. And let's say you bought like these things underlined, so Xbox 360, energy drinks, cable internet access, cell phone, used car, laptop, etc. If you subtracted all of those from the working at the minimum wage with $31,200 per year, you would have $4,040 left over. So you could, so that's left over. And then if you paid for all these required bills here, you would have $3,990 in debt at the end. So you would have to borrow. So you'd have to borrow $3,990 because the wages you made wouldn't pay for all of it. So the minimum wage, it doesn't cover everything. It's there's like so many expenses out there that it just doesn't cover. So I just shared that in the chat if you want to review that more. But yeah, there's a lot of expenses out there. Yeah, it's very expensive. So no one can really live on the minimum wage based on that. I think what we'll do with this, I'm just gonna bring this up. I think what we'll do is since we'll do this, what I'm gonna do with this is if Gia can join in, feel free. But Caesar is on the phone, so what? And like we'll kind of do this as a group, sort of. Maybe we'll just do this as a group, kind of. But if Gia wants to join in, Gia can join in. This one, and then we'll answer like questions in class. The fall in total surplus results in a market distortion such as a tax. Which answer would that be?
The fall in total surplus that results from a market distortion, such as a tax. Mandated choice. Basic economic questions. Deadweight loss. Producer surplus.
It'd be deadweight loss here. State of the economy in which production in accordance with consumer preferences, in particular every good or service is produced up to the point where the last unit provides a marginal benefit to society equal to the marginal cost of producing it. What's that called?
Would that be allocative efficiency?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's great. Great job. Good job, Caesar. And a situation in which the market left on its own fails to allocate resources efficiently. What's that called?
Market failure.
Excellent. Perfect. An illegal maximum on the price at which a good can be sold. What's that called?
Price ceiling.
Excellent. Just gonna... So and a tendency to fixate on initial information from which one then fails to adequately adjust for subsequent information.
Anchoring bias.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's great. Choosing an option that's acceptable, although not necessarily the best or purpose. Perfect.
Satisficing, maybe. I'm not sure of that one.
That's good. That's great. Then the additional benefit of a consumer from consuming one more unit of good or service.
A marginal benefit.
Then systematic error in thinking. What's that called?
Cognitive bias.
Excellent. That's great. Then prices of related goods, technology, prices of inputs, expectations of sellers.
Non-price determinants of supply.
Then the cost of purchasing one more unit, of producing one more unit of good.
Marginal cost.
Giving consumers a limited number of options when making a choice.
Restricted choice.
Satisfaction or usefulness obtained from acquiring one more unit of product.
Marginal utility.
Excellent. Holding everything else constant.
Ceteris paribus assumption.
Excellent. That's great. The view that a market economy works well, that aggregate fluctuations are a natural consequence of an expanding economy, and that government intervention cannot improve the efficiency of a market economy.
Classic macroeconomics.
Excellent. That's great. Situation in which quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied.
Shortage.
Decision-making bias that results from the way a decision, question, or problem is worded.
Framing effect.
Excellent. That's great. When buyers and sellers know everything about all the products within their market.
Perfect information.
That's great. Great job, Caesar. Yeah, we should be able to change our passwords.
Yeah.
Making incremental choices, one more, one less of something, doing a little more or a little less.
The concept of the margin deals with. Maybe? Yeah.
That's great. A test to determine elasticity of demand between any two prices. Demand is elastic if total revenue moves in the opposite direction from price. It is inelastic when it moves in the same direction as price. It is unitary elasticity when it does not change when price changes.
Total revenue test.
That's great. Characteristic of some goods where it is not possible to exclude someone from using a good because it's not possible to charge a price is one of the characteristics of public goods.
Non-excludable.
Excellent. That's great. Idea that government. A great job, Caesar. Great job, Gia. Excellent work. Great work. Wow. Yeah, 2020. Great job, Caesar. That's awesome. And great job, Gia. Excellent job, you too. That's great. So yeah, I'll bring up this PowerPoint here. So natural resource and energy economics. So So since the late 18th century, there's been an increase from in population from 1 billion to 7.4 billion. Our standard of living is 12 times higher than in 1800, and we're consuming more resources now. So do you think the availability of natural resources are sufficient to meet the growing demand for them?
No.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah, I think that we're running out of a lot of resources, and it's there's limited food and water and shelter. I know that we're having trouble, um, with shelter. Um, like with I know we're trying to move, and it's hard to find a place that's affordable. But yeah, it's a big everyone's struggling with that. We have a place right now, but it's like we're trying to find a new place, and it's a struggle. Yeah, affordability is hard. Yeah. So Thomas Malthus, he did a lot of work on this. The higher living standards means more people to feed. Living standards would be driven down to subsistence levels. So as we get like higher population values, like if we get like let's say to 20 billion people in the world, then we're gonna have lower quality of life because we won't have enough resources. So Malthus was incorrect based on like I think he was incorrect up until now. I think he may be correct once we get the human population, like let's say it's at about 7 billion right now, but once we get to like 20 billion, I think that he's going to be correct. I think once the population gets a lot higher than where we are at now, he's going to be correct. But up until now, our death rates fall, fertility falls below placement rate. Um, they've we've been able to have higher standards of living as the population has been going up, but I think once we hit like 20 billion or something like that, the standards of living are going to go down because we won't have enough resources. So the fertility rates across these countries, so Australia, 1.77%, France 2%, Canada 1.59%. So United States, Sweden, France are the highest on this list. Australia is one of the highest too. Canada is a bit lower. So Paul Ehrlich, he says that population will outstrip resources, so people would starve to get death because of overpopulation. That hasn't happened yet, but I think it will happen once we get to much higher population values. So our economy has been more efficient in using energy. There's no likelihood of running out of energy. Like even if we ran out of oil, there's alternatives such as like electric cars, etc. So like once oil is at $80, the alternative fuels biodiesel, corn-based ethanol at $60, shale oil at 50, tar sands at 40, conventional oil at 20. So so property rights are very important for allowing our economy to be most efficient. If we have effective property rights, we're going to have more efficiency. And the variation of growth rates here is a lot due to property rights. So like if we have better property rights, we will have higher growth. So is economic growth bad for the environment? It can or it can't. Like some countries that grow at high rates, they have a bad environment because their growth is fueled by oil. But if these countries are not are growing, like once they get to a certain point of growth, they start to switch to renewables. Like we're seeing here, we're at the point of our growth in our economy that we're switching more to renewable resources, while like other countries are still using oil. So it depends on what they choose. Like if they get to a certain point and they start switching to renewables, that's good. But if they just keep focusing on using oil-based production, then that's going to cause environmental damage. So that's yeah, that's so I'm gonna just bring up some resources. So I wanted to show our class here these opportunities here. So I joined REMIC, like I did the REMIC mortgage agent course, and I become a mortgage agent with REMIC. Like sorry, I did the mortgage agent course through REMIC, and now I'm a real estate no now I'm a so now I'm a mortgage agent. I'm just gonna show you my website. So I joined. So I did the REMIC mortgage agent course, and it's about $400, and like you can do it, and it'll only take a few weeks. And then you can join a brokerage. I'd recommend Citadel. Citadel's a very good one. I was about to join Citadel, but then I joined the mortgage center. But if I wasn't, yeah, like I was one of Citadel was one of the top ones I was considering. But yeah, this would be a good thing to do on the side, because all you have to do is network with people and give them your business card, tell them that you can potentially get them a mortgage. They fill out an application and you can assess if they can get a mortgage or not. So it's a good opportunity. You could work full time and do this on the side. So this is my mortgage agent website. I'm just gonna put the Citadel link here if you do consider doing this, and reach out to me if you have any questions. My WhatsApp, like I'm always here for you even after the semester's over. Any questions you have, just reach out to me. But yeah, these are potential career options you could do. But this is my website for the mortgage agent role, and yeah, just let me know if you're interested in becoming a mortgage agent, because I'll help you with whatever. Also, you could become a financial advisor. Freedom 55, you could do it through Freedom 55 Financial. you can become an advisor. I'm just gonna send you this. If you do want to become an advisor, financial advisor, that's a great path also. Investors Group is also a good company for that. So here's the link. If you want more information, let me know. That's a good way. Also, being a real estate agent is a good avenue also. So all of these careers are a good way to start your own business. So you could do it on the side while you work full or part-time. Let me know if you have more questions about that. I just want to give you some good options for starting a business or finding potential career. And then also there are opportunities. Just gonna so also working in technology, there's a lot of opportunities through Communitech here. Like a lot of opportunities worldwide, virtually, remote. This is a good job website for that. So I wanted to send you that. Yeah, for your interest, and let me know if you have any questions about that. And if you need a reference, I'm always here for you. And any support you need, let me know. I want all of you to succeed. So let me know what support you need for that. Just wanted to provide that. So what we'll do is I'll bring up our next activity. I'm just gonna put this up. So to join this right here, we'll do the same thing as before. I'm gonna open another tab and then we'll just and then Caesar, who is on the phone, like we'll do it as like a group. But if Gia wants to log in, feel free. Or if you want to just do it as a group, you can do that. So what is the fundamental problem of economics?
Scarcity.
Excellent. Great job, Caesar. Great job, Gia. And then which of these is not a factor of production?
Enthusiasm.
Correct. That's great. Great job, Caesar and Gia. Excellent. And then an item required for survival is what?
Necessity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it should be necessity as well. Yeah, I think there was just a issue. Yeah, it should that would be correct also. In a school, which of the following would be considered as an example of labor?
Faculty, staff.
Great job, both of you. That's great. And then, is there such a thing as a free lunch?
No.
Great job, you two. That's great. And then, what kinds of goods are used to produce consumer goods?
Capital goods.
And then what is used to illustrate the concept of opportunity cost?
Invisible hand. Okay. No.
Production possibilities curve. That was a hard one. Our actions in one part of the economy or world have now economic impact on what happens elsewhere. What's that called?
Economic interdependence.
And then value of the next best alternative that has to be given up for the action that is chosen is the
Opportunity cost.
Great job. As an economic term, land includes
Natural resources.
Something gained by making a choice is what?
Benefit. Benefit, sorry.
Excellent. Good job. And then an economy moving forward due to individuals acting in their own self-interests are
The invisible hand.
good job, both of you. That's great. And then balancing finite resources with unlimited desires is what?
Lack of choices, I guess. Yes, just guessing there.
Good. It's it was close. Like that's.
Just found the wording weird with that question.
Yeah. It's the grammar. Yeah, it was confusing. Yeah. The person who organizes the factors of production. Who's that?
Entrepreneur.
Great job. And then measure of how much is produced with a given amount of resources in a specific period of time.
Productivity.
Great job. And this examines the choice of individuals concerning one product, one firm, or one industry.
Microeconomics.
Great job, both of you. That's great. And then branch of economics that examines the behavior of a whole economy at once.
Macroeconomics.
Excellent. Which is not one of the three basic questions of economics.
How to produce. When, yeah.
Okay, the one to produce. Yeah, I didn't know that one either. Yeah, it's okay. A person who uses a good or service, what's that called?
Consumer.
Disaster. Great job, both of you. That's great. And then an accumulation of these economic products that are tangible, scarce, useful, or transferable.
Wealth.
Yeah. That's great. And then worth that can be expressed in dollars and cents.
Would that be wealth again, or value?
Oh, value. Okay, that was a hard one.
I guess those two words kind of mean the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would say they would mean the same thing. Yeah, they're very like they're pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Utility.
Utility. Okay. Good job. And then some of the skills, abilities, health, and motivation of people.
Human capital.
And then an example of a division of labor is
Assembly line production.
then use of resources in a way that maximizes the output of goods and services.
Efficiency.
Great job, both of you. Great game. That was very competitive. Yeah. Great job, Caesar. Great job, Gia. That's excellent. Do this. I'm gonna just bring this up. So to join, just click on this link in the chat. And I'm gonna show it on my. I'm gonna join from my screen too because for Caesar who is on his phone, I'll we'll do it kind of as a group also. So anyone who wants to join through your computer can, or we're gonna do it as a group also. So yeah, click on the link in the chat. Is the best or most effective possible in a particular situation. That's all called. What does the term consumption mean?
The last option.
Great job, Caesar. That's excellent. And then, what does the theory of the firm describe?
None of the above.
So it's good try. Then is a situation in which the people or groups involved in an argument reduce their demands in order to reach an agreement.
Compromise.
And what are limited resources of consumers?
Their income.
Excellent, great job. Then what is the major role of prices?
The first option.
Good job. Then what is the central role of markets?
The first option.
What are microeconomics?
The final option.
We're gonna try. Yeah, the wording here. It's
It'd be
Well,
both of those, correct? Like the consumers and the firms. Like it's just a singular focus though on like
yeah,
one of the two.
yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be 1 in 4. Yeah. Um, it should be 1, 2, and 4. Yeah.
I guess yeah. I guess the first option actually does have both of them there. I just didn't read it all the way through. Consumers and firms.
Yeah, it should. It should like there should be multiple answers for that one for sure. Yeah. What does consumers mean?
The third option.
How are prices determined in the centrally planned economy?
Sorry, I'm struggling with the wording in these questions.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. The wording, yeah, I agree. It's
Probably the government, bro.
Yeah.
In the planet. Yeah.
how are prices determined in the market economy?
The last option.
Actually, then what are the limited resources of workers?
The first option.
Excellent, great job. Then is a state of the economy in which production represents consumer preferences, in particular, every good or service produced until the last unit provides a marginal benefit to the consumer equal to the marginal cost of production.
Allocative efficiency.
Excellent, great job. Then what do firms trade off?
All of the above. Oh yes.
And what does the term trade-offs mean?
The last option.
Excellent, great job. And in a planned economy, who makes decisions on the allocation of scarce resources?
The government.
Yeah, excellent. Oh shoot, sorry. Then in a planned economy, who makes decision on the allocation of scarce resources?
The government.
What does the consumer make to the trade-offs?
All of the above.
What are some limits in microeconomics?
All of the above.
Excellent, great job. And this is a situation in which something is not easy to find or get.
Scarcity.
In modern market economies, who makes decisions on the allocation of scarce resources?
Um, Firms.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. And then, what does the term maximize mean?
The second option.
What are limited resources of firms?
The second option.
Excellent. What does the consumer theory describe?
The first option.
Yeah, it was that was a hard worded question. Yeah, like I think it was just each option seemed very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the first one and I was like, oh, that one looks like the right answer.
Yeah. What are important themes of microeconomics?
All of the above.
Yeah, right. Then what do workers trade off?
All of the above.
What does the theory of the firm describe?
Second option, I think.
Great work on that. Great job, Caesar. Great job, Gia. Excellent work. Hey, great job, Caesar. Great job, Gia. That was excellent. Great. Awesome competition. Great work on that one. We'll try this. Bring this up. So join. This is the link for joining. So I'll wait if Gia wants to join in, or if we just want to do it as a group this time. Either way, it's fine. So when this table shows the total utility that an individual derives from consuming different quantities of good, individual marginal utility of money is $1 equals 2 units of utility. What is the maximum quantity of the good the individual will buy when the price is $6? Diagram, an individual initially chooses combination N on budget line LM. An increase in his money income accompanied by an increase in the price of good Y causes his budget line to shift to RS, and he now chooses combination T. How does this affect his economic welfare? I think for this, he's been. Oh, what were we gonna say?
I was just gonna ask to read the question again.
Sure. Sorry. So in the diagram, an individual initially chooses combination N on budget line LM. An increase in his money income accompanied by an increase in the price of good Y causes his budget line to shift to RS. And now he chooses combination T. How does this affect his economic welfare?
C.
Yeah, I agree. This is great. Great job. Because he can afford more now. It's great. In the diagram, the consumer's budget line shifts from GH to JK. Which statement must be correct?
I think that would be A.
Yeah, exactly. Great job. That's excellent. This diagram shows an individual's total utility from consuming glasses of fruit juice. How can this information help to derive the individual's demand curve for future fruit juice?
I think that would be A also.
Excellent work. That's great. The diagram shows two indifference curves and two budget lines for goods X and Y. The consumer's initial position is at point F. The consumer's preferred final position is at point H. What does the movement from F to G represent?
Would that be B?
Yeah, that one's a hard one. We won't have. Don't worry about that one for the test of the final exam. It's like this. This stuff. This is more advanced. Like it's more for. And I didn't see. I don't really see a lot of the point for like. I learned this. I learned this stuff in when I was in school, but I don't see the application of this in real life a lot. Like, I bet there is definitely an application, but like in terms of getting a job or whatever, it's not like like it's not really beneficial. Like at least in my view. So it's more theoretical.
I tend to struggle with like graphs and stuff like that, especially when I can't, like normally I take a lot of time with graphs.
Oh, I agree. I struggle too. I find this stuff is the hardest. Like this, I don't see a lot of application of this in terms of like getting work or a job. That's why I kind of err on not focusing too much on this. But for 13 in this diagram, the curve shows the various combinations of labor and capital that can be employed to produce a given level of output. A firm chooses some combination of labor and capital shown by point X in the curve. What could explain why the firm later chooses a combination of labor and capital shown by point?
I think that's C, right?
Yeah, that's probably, yeah. So,
Stupid graphs.
Yeah, I know. These it gets confusing. I agree. So I'll show you this. I just have to give me 1 second. I just have to plug in my computer. Just let me know which option you think is right. Sorry about that. Which one do you think is the answer?
JLN.
Sorry, I was muted. I might not hear it. Sorry.
Oh,
The
sorry, A.
A. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, great works, Caesar. Great work, Theo. In the diagram, TC is a firm's short run total cost curve, which statement is correct?
This one I have no idea.
It's a hard one. I think yeah, these
Total cost is minimize it. 2.
I think it would be A, but I could be wrong. Oh, C. Okay. Which diagram correctly shows the relationship between the average product AEP and the marginal product MP of labor, given that the quantities of other factor inputs remain constant? Yeah, I think we don't have to worry too much about these. Like, it's just this kind of beyond. Um,